The small town of Hawthorne nestled amidst rolling hills and vast fields of golden corn. It was a place where everyone knew each other's names, and life was slow-paced, except for one thrilling event every year, the Hawthorne Corn Maze. For generations, the maze had attracted adventure seekers, thrill lovers, and families looking for a good time. One crisp autumn afternoon, as the leaves painted the town in shades of red and gold, 4 friends, Mia, Luke, Emma, and Ben, gathered excitedly outside the maze's entrance. They were eager to test their wits against the labyrinthine pathways that had bewildered many before them. Mia, the group's fearless leader, was known for her love of mysteries and challenges. She had heard rumors of something more than just fun and games in the maze, tales whispered by locals of eerie encounters and strange occurrences. As she entered the maze with her friends, she couldn't help but wonder if there was any truth to the rumors. The maze was a living puzzle, its towering cornstalk walls seeming to shift and change at every turn. The friends navigated the twists and turns, their laughter echoing through the rustling leaves. At first, it was all fun and games, but as twilight descended, the atmosphere shifted. Mia noticed it first, a subtle change in the maze's layout. The path they had taken earlier had vanished, replaced by an unfamiliar route. She dismissed it as a trick of the mind, but unease gnawed at her. The others shrugged it off, assuming it was just part of the maze's design. As they ventured deeper into the labyrinth, the corn walls seemed to close in on them, creating a claustrophobic tunnel. Shadows danced on the edges of their vision, and the air grew heavy with a palpable sense of foreboding. They realized they had lost track of time, and panic began to set in. Their flashlights flickered ominously, casting eerie shadows on the towering stalks. Luke's voice quivered as he tried to reassure the group, but his words were drowned out by the unsettling whispers that seemed to emanate from the very walls of the maze. Mia took the lead, determined to find their way out. She noticed that the maze seemed to respond to their every move, shifting and rearranging itself like a living entity. The friends argued about which direction to take, but the maze offered no clear answers. As they trudged forward, the whispers grew louder and more distinct, as if the very cornfield itself were trying to communicate. They heard their names, eerie laughter, and distant cries. Fear gripped them, and they quickened their pace, desperate to escape the maze's clutches. Hours passed, but the exit remained elusive. They were exhausted and disoriented, their nerves frayed. Their flashlights flickered once more, threatening to plunge them into darkness. In that moment, they heard something that sent a chill down their spines, a voice, distant yet chillingly familiar. It was Mia's own voice, calling out to them from the depths of the maze. It was as if an imposter had taken her voice and was using it to lure them deeper into the labyrinth. They stopped in their tracks, paralyzed with fear. But as they hesitated, they noticed something even more unsettling. Multiple versions of Mia, each identical, each beckoning them in different directions. They were surrounded by eerie echoes of their friend, a surreal and nightmarish spectacle. Panic set in as they realized they were trapped in a maze that seemed to defy reality itself. It was as if the very fabric of space and time had warped within the cornfield's embrace. The friends clung to one another, their terror binding them together. Suddenly, the maze shifted once more, and they found themselves standing at the maze's entrance. It was as if they had never entered in the first place. Disoriented and shaken, they stumbled out into the cool night air, their breaths ragged and their hearts pounding. They were free, but the horrors they had experienced within the maze haunted their dreams. They returned home, forever changed by their harrowing ordeal. The maze had shown them a glimpse of a reality beyond their comprehension, a world of shifting shadows and whispered secrets. As the years passed, the friends went their separate ways, but the bond forged in the maze remained unbreakable. They seldom spoke of that fateful night, each carrying the weight of their shared experience in silence. They knew that some mysteries were better left unsolved, that the secrets of the Hawthorne corn maze were not meant to be uncovered. The maze continued to stand as a testament to the unknown, its twisting pathways luring adventurers and thrill-seekers from far and wide. It was a place of wonder and terror, where reality and illusion danced on the edge of perception. And so, the legend of the Hawthorne Corn Maze endured, a chilling reminder that some mysteries were not meant to be unraveled, that some labyrinths held secrets too dark to comprehend. The town of Hawthorne, with its quaint charm and its enigmatic maze, continued to exist, its secrets buried beneath the rustling leaves of its endless cornfields. In the heart of the Midwest, amidst rolling fields of corn that stretched as far as the eye could see, there stood a weathered farmhouse. It was home to Thomas and Mary, a couple who had spent their lives tending to the land, working tirelessly to provide for their family. Their love was as enduring as the cornfields that surrounded them, and their story was woven into the fabric of the town. One warm summer morning, as the sun painted the sky with shades of gold and amber, Thomas kissed Mary on the cheek and headed out to the fields to tend to his crops. It was a routine he had followed for decades, but little did he know that this day would be different. Hours passed, and Thomas did not return. Mary's worry deepened with each passing minute. She called out for him from the porch, but her calls were met only with the gentle rustling of the cornstalks in the breeze. Fearing the worst, she enlisted the help of neighbors and friends, and soon the entire community was searching for Thomas. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the cornfields, but there was no sign of him. The search continued into the night, illuminated only by the soft glow of lanterns. As hope dwindled, Mary clung to the belief that her beloved husband would return, that this was just a momentary disappearance. Days turned into weeks, and still Thomas remained missing. The town was shrouded in sadness, and the once thriving farm began to wither without its caretaker. The mystery of his disappearance hung heavy in the air, and whispers began to circulate. Some claimed that he had been taken by the cornfield itself, while others suspected foul play. One moonless night, when darkness blanketed the land, Mary awoke to the sound of a distant voice calling her name. It was faint and ghostly, like a whisper carried by the wind. "Mary," it said, and though it sent chills down her spine, she couldn't resist its pull. Leaving the safety of her home, she followed the ethereal voice into the cornfield. Each step she took was met with a chorus of rustling leaves, and the moon above offered no guidance. The voice grew stronger, guiding her deeper into the maze of corn. Suddenly, she stumbled upon a clearing where the moonlight revealed an eerie sight. There, swaying eerily in the breeze, was a scarecrow dressed in Thomas's tattered clothes. Its straw hands reached out toward her, and its empty eyes seemed to fixate on her with a malevolent intent. Mary's heart pounded in her chest as she realized the truth. This scarecrow was an eerie mimicry of her missing husband. She fell to her knees, tears streaming down her face. The voice, which had led her here, now emanated from the scarecrow, whispering her name over and over. Grief-stricken and horrified, Mary stumbled backward, away from the grotesque figure that resembled her beloved Thomas. She knew she had to escape this nightmarish scene. As she fled through the cornfield, the whispering voice followed her, taunting her with its haunting echoes. Finally, she burst out of the cornfield and collapsed onto the ground, gasping for breath. The scarecrow remained hidden among the rows of corn, its sinister presence undisturbed. Mary's heartache deepened, but she knew she had to share her harrowing encounter with the townsfolk. When she told her story, some were skeptical, while others were unnerved by the eerie tale. The town gathered to discuss the legend of the scarecrow and its connection to Thomas's disappearance. They decided that it was time to rid the land of the cursed effigy. A group of brave villagers armed themselves with torches and pitchforks and returned to the cornfield. With determination, they set the scarecrow ablaze, its straw and cloth consumed by flames. As the fire crackled and the smoke rose into the night sky, an eerie silence fell over the field. The scarecrow was no more, but the mystery of Thomas's disappearance would forever haunt the town. His absence remained an unsolved enigma, a tragic tale of a loving husband who vanished without a trace. Mary never stopped hoping for his return, but the scarecrow's sinister presence was banished, a chilling reminder of the eerie forces that could hide amidst the endless rows of corn. Years passed, and the cornfields continued to sway in the wind, their secrets buried beneath the rustling leaves. The town remembered Thomas and Mary, and the legend of the vanishing farmer lived on, a haunting story told to generations as a warning to those who ventured too deep into the cornfields at night. In the heart of the Midwest, where vast cornfields stretched to the horizon, there lay a forgotten village named Briarwood. It was a place where time seemed to stand still, where generations of families had toiled in the fields, their lives intertwined with the rhythm of the seasons. However, it was also a village harboring a dark secret, a secret whispered among its residents only in hushed tones, a secret that would change the lives of a group of teenagers forever. Among those teenagers were Sarah, a daring young woman known for her curiosity, her boyfriend Jake, a skeptic who laughed at the village legends, and their friends, Emma and Alex, who were eager to experience something beyond the ordinary. One late summer evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the stars began to emerge, they gathered around a campfire, sharing stories and laughter. It was Emma who brought up the legend, the tale of a sinister ritual that supposedly took place deep within the heart of Briarwood's most expansive cornfield. The ritual was said to summon dark forces, and those who participated risked their souls. Sarah, always one to embrace the unknown, suggested they investigate. Jake scoffed at the idea, dismissing it as nothing more than folklore, but the allure of adventure was too strong for the group to resist. Underneath the moonless sky, they ventured into the cornfield. The towering stalks seemed to close in around them, creating an eerie maze that swallowed their lantern's light. Sarah led the way, her steps determined and her heart racing with anticipation. She had heard tales of the ritual since childhood and was convinced there was more to it than mere superstition. Hours passed as they weaved through the labyrinth of corn, their voices hushed in reverence for the legends they had grown up with. It was Alex who first spotted it, a clearing in the center of the field, marked with strange symbols etched into the earth. Their excitement grew, and they felt as if they were on the brink of discovering something extraordinary. With trepidation, they decided to perform the ritual they had heard so much about. The instructions were vague, passed down through generations in hushed whispers. They formed a circle around the symbols and began to chant, their voices trembling with a mixture of fear and excitement. The wind rustled the cornstalks, creating an eerie backdrop to their incantation. As they chanted, an unexpected chill settled over the clearing. Their lantern flickered, casting eerie shadows that danced across their faces. Just as doubt began to creep in, a strange sensation washed over them. It was as if the very air around them had come alive, pulsating with an otherworldly energy. Suddenly, the ground trembled beneath their feet, and they watched in awe as the symbols they had drawn began to glow with an eerie green light. Fear surged through them, but it was too late to stop. The ritual had taken on a life of its own. The cornfield seemed to come alive, the stalks swaying in time with their heartbeat. Whispers filled the air, unintelligible and unsettling. Sarah tried to break the circle, to end the ritual, but an invisible force held them in place. Panic took hold as they realized the danger they had unleashed. Out of the darkness emerged shadowy figures, their forms indistinct and menacing. They circled the teenagers, their presence suffocating. Desperation consumed them as they called out to one another, their voices barely audible over the rising wind. And then, just as suddenly as it had begun, the ritual ended. The symbols ceased to glow, the figures dissipated into the night, and the cornfield fell silent. The air felt heavy with the weight of what they had experienced. Shaken and terrified, they stumbled out of the cornfield, their faces pale and their hearts heavy with a newfound understanding of the village's dark secret. They had tampered with forces beyond their comprehension, and they had paid the price. In the days that followed, the group tried to make sense of what had occurred. They knew they had ventured into forbidden territory, and the consequences of their actions weighed heavily on their minds. Jake, who had once scoffed at the legend, was the most affected, haunted by the shadows he had seen. As time passed, the teenagers grew distant from one another, each carrying their own burden of guilt and fear. They swore to never speak of that night again, but the memories lingered, an unspoken pact that bound them together. Briarwood, with its dark secrets, continued to exist in isolation, its cornfields hiding the mysteries of generations. The legend of the Cornfield ritual persisted, serving as a warning to those who dared to seek the unknown. The village, seemingly untouched by time, held its secrets close, and the teenagers learned a valuable lesson about the boundaries between curiosity and the supernatural. Years later, as they stood on the outskirts of the cornfield, the group exchanged knowing glances. The secrets of that night remained locked away, buried deep within the cornfield's labyrinthine heart. They had come to understand that some mysteries were better left unexplored, and the village of Briarwood would forever be a place of enigmatic darkness. With a silent nod, they turned away from the cornfield, leaving behind the legend that had forever altered their lives. The moonlight illuminated their path as they walked into the future, forever changed by the haunting night they had ventured into the unknown.